Hey guys, it's Kate here. I want to jump on really quick and just share why I'm leading this retreat coming up November 9th through 12th. It's called the Fall into Connection Retreat. And the reason that I felt like, you know what, Kate, we are going to make this happen. This was a goal of mine last January. Actually, it's been a goal of mine for several years, and I kept pushing it off, going, there was lots of resistance. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. But the reason I wanted to do this retreat is I knew personally I needed to do it to overcome this hump, to get on the other side of fear and make it happen, but also to invite you guys into that as well. And so I wanted something I've been teaching my clients lately and showing them with a visual, and I'll try to drop a picture of it below in this newsletter, is what's called the growth zone. Okay. So most of us find ourselves in this place where we like to be, which is our comfort zone, right? Like we all know that. It feels really secure to stay in a place of familiarity. Making changes is scary. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of energy to create change. Our brain is wired to keep us on automatic, to stay in what's familiar. And if our bodies and nervous system doesn't perceive we have the capacity or the energy to create changes, it's going to resist it all day long. And so many of us find ourselves in this place where we're longing for change. We want change. Maybe we want to get out of the job we're in. Maybe God's given us a dream in our heart we want to pursue. But for some reason, we find ourselves stuck and struggling to move forward and stepping into it. And over time, that starts to take a toll on our health and our well-being. The scripture says, without vision, the people perish. And we are not living in a place of expansion. We're living in a place of contraction and protection. And that's always going to have an impact on us physiologically, and our body, our mind. It's very closely associated with disease processes, and what happens at the cellular level. And so this isn't just about stepping into longing and desire and growth. It's also about living in the fullness of health. They go hand in hand. We cannot separate them. The soul and the body are intertwined like that. But what we've been learning about and what I've been guiding my clients to understand, and as I'm living this personally, is when we are stepping outside of the tent of our comfort zone, and looking up, and we feel so expansive when we see the vision, when we feel it in our bodies, it feels expansive. But what happens is we come back into the real world after having that clarity, and things in our environment start to give us red flags of risk, right? And one of the things that we can see is as we move from comfort zone, we have to go through the fear zone in order to get to the learning zone, in order to get to the growth zone. And so when we're in this fear zone, if our confidence is low, if we are used to having other people validate what we're feeling and sensing, and we're looking to their opinions to help us, to give the courage to keep going forward. And if we don't get the response we want, that insecurity is going to rise up, that threat is going to rise up, and it's going to pull us right back into our comfort zone, and it's not going to let us move forward. Nothing changes unless it's safe. And so, and I see this all the time. I see these women that land all over something that is life-giving for them, that we know is going to benefit our family. We know it's going to benefit the world. It is not selfish at all. It is the very thing that is lighting them up. But then as soon as they go home, or they get off the call, they perceive all these risks around them. Their nervous system goes into alarm, going, don't go that way. That's not safe. And so we get stuck. And maybe we pull forward a little bit and we learn, and then we fall back again, right? And we never get to this growth zone where we're stepping into the expansion, where we're embodying it, where our goals are met, where our dreams become reality, where we're continuing to grow and change. And so what I'm seeing, both as it plays out in women's health, mental and emotional well-being, and stepping into their career or life or spiritual objectives, it's all about understanding what's happening within the nervous system. What is happening? What are the body stories that are signaling threat, that are keeping us and hindering us from moving forward into change? And so the purpose of this weekend is not just to come and reset and regulate our nervous systems and feel that relief and feel that peace wash over us as we sit and overlook, beautiful trees and river and enjoy beautiful conversations with each other, maybe play some cards, maybe, go on a hike. All those things are beautiful. But if we go home and as soon as we get home, we can't continue into that and we feel ourselves pulling back into familiar patterns again, it's frustrating. How many of you guys have been on a retreat where you felt so expansive, you felt inspired, you felt this shift in your physiology and hope was welling up, right? You had maybe this dream that got reactivated, right? And you're excited and you bring it home and you start talking about it and trying to implement it or take action, and everything around you almost crushes it. It feels like, this isn't possible, right? They're not validating it. I tried to share it. They're not getting it. I'm being misunderstood. There's these financial needs over here. There's not time. There's not energy. Never mind. This isn't going to happen, right? And we just go back and we find what feels safe. And believe me, I get this because I've been in this place in the last several weeks. You guys know that I signed up for a program. I had to invest a lot of money in it to write this book, and it's putting me into a place of stretch. Like I am in that fear zone. I'm trying to be over here in the learning zone, but man, am I getting stuck right here. And it's all these alarms going off. Kate, you're not bringing in enough money right now. Your family is struggling. Like I'm seeing everything in my environment that is telling me, what are you doing? Why did you say yes to this? You need to go back, go get a job. And I start to feel that mobilization energy just rise in my chest going, do something, do something. People are suffering around you. You need to be more dependable. Why are you doing this? Like all of those objections. And you can hear the insecurity in that. And I was journaling about this the other day and I'm like, yep, there it is. Inadequacy, insecurity, vulnerability, right? And then shame and guilt are rising their ugly heads. And so that's what happens in that fear zone, because all we've learned, like we have these parts of our soul and these stories in our nervous system where we learn these survival patterns to maintain secure attachments in our life in order to have our needs met, right? In order to stay in close belonging with the people in our lives. And if we are doing something that starts to feel like it's going to threaten that, it's going to pull us back into security all day long and into those survival patterns. And what we have to get to unravel is to recognize, wait a second, like I'm feeling the survival energy ramping up inside my chest, telling me, get online, search for a PT job, go back, make some money, like, right? And you hear the self-reliance in that, right? It's like, do something to secure, right? And so we want to learn how to appreciate those patterns, but not let them lead us, right? And so what we want to do at this retreat is we're going to learn to understand what's happening into us, what's happening in us physiologically. Notice the energy, notice the come from, right? And we're going to learn how to, when we start to feel that fight or flight energy, or we feel ourselves shutting down into freeze, where we just pull back into give up mode, right? Our conservation mode. What do we do and how do we lift ourselves up out of there? How do we come back into that I am state of being, that connected state that allows us to safely engage and to move forward into that growth zone, right? We want to learn how to get out of these spirals and get out of survival energy so we can move forward into growth. Because if you have something God's placed in your heart, whether it's to write a book or to speak or to minister to women, or maybe it is, whatever it is, there's something that God's placed on your heart to do that is taking your life story and bringing it into purpose. But you're feeling all this resistance around it. This is what we need to do. We need to understand what's happening within us and how to support ourselves in that, how to build that stress capacity. So when we're in that fear zone, we have the support and safety in place to be able to navigate it and get to the other side, right? And when we get to the other side, that's where life flows. That's where health flows. That's where spiritual expansion happens. That's where we make a difference and step into our purposes. That's where our finances actually do better, right? When we're in that survival energy, we're seeing lack and scarcity. And believe me, I get it. I'm kind of hanging out right there myself, I'm aware of it. but it doesn't make it any easier. But yeah, so we're gonna look at that stuff and we're gonna work through that together, and we're gonna do some beautiful things. This isn't just gonna be a talk retreat. We're gonna get into action. We're gonna experience what's happening in our body and learn some exercises to be able to let that energy move through us, so it doesn't pull us into a direction, right? We're going to learn how to build stress capacity and work through that stress response. We're going to learn how to use art and get grounded in nature to help us to really find strategies to help us move out of survival energy into that growth zone. And so this is for women that want that growth. They're tired of stagnancy. They're tired of staying stuck. You can feel what it's doing to your body, right? Maybe you've had a recent health diagnosis or medical procedure, and you know it's taking a toll on your body. And you know you've got to get out of these constrictive patterns, and you need to get into life-giving rhythms again. You know you need to be doing what lights you up and gives you joy. But it takes working through the body stories and the familiar habits and those survival patterns that are keeping us secure in our comfort zone of where we are, even though it's making us miserable. We got to look at how to build our confidence. We got to look at how to quit looking for external validation from the opinions of people around us. That's not easy, ladies. That is not easy. We got to learn how to reconnect with our intuition and the voice of truth within us, the body's yes. There's so many things. And so I would love to invite you into this. If this is something you're wanting to learn more of and understand more of and just enjoy a beautiful retreat that includes growth and includes resources to take back home with you, then this is for you. I know it's coming up soon, but I promise you this might be the very thing that begins to move that needle for you. Okay? We need each other for this growth. We need to link arms, and I'm inviting you into a group of women that are ready to link arms with you. Let me know if this is something that is a yes for you. And let me know if you want it, but you're feeling all of that resistance. Let's get on a call and let's figure this out together.